to a special State College Brew Expo episode of...
Brutal Battle.
Yes, so if people don't know what the State College Brew Expo is, we're also relatively new to it, and much like we have done episodes for Savor every single year, we decided, hey, let's go to this State College Brew Expo, which is at Penn State in Pennsylvania. It's a place where they have a beer festival that's outdoors. It's actually for charity, and I don't know. I assume not all the proceeds go to charity, but at least a portion go to charity. And every year they would have all these different breweries. So this year the focus was on the state of Pennsylvania, and they just had breweries only from the state of Pennsylvania on hand. I believe it was 73 different breweries.
So, I didn't realize that. They don't always do only Pennsylvania?
Correct. So apparently this is the first year that that's how they did it. In the past, what they had done is they went with distributors, and distributors would come in and bring different beers from all these different breweries that they represent. So this year they switched it up, and they had the actual breweries just showing up and representing themselves. So, and they just wanted to make it all Pennsylvania, which is cool. This is one that Kelli and Kyle Norman have repeatedly invited us to go to, because they, for a while, were going to it every year. They've missed some years, but I think every year for the last 4 years at least, they've been saying, hey, you guys want to go to the State College Brew Expo? We think it'd be really cool if you went with us. So they asked this year, and I was like, I feel like we've turned them down so many times. We really should go. Plus, it should be fun. And we were right. It was fun. So this is actually the day after the Brew Expo when we're recording in order to get this episode up the next weekend. So we're not going to drink a lot of beer. We thought about having no beer, but I was like, it can't be a Brutal Battle episode with 0 beer. So we usually do 4. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to do 2 beers.
I'm not going to lie. Carlin's like, we're going to record. I'm like, I'm not looking forward to this. He's like, doing the podcast or drinking? I'm like, both.
Any of it.
Talking about beer, drinking beer.
Well, we're tired. You know, sleeping in a hotel is never easy because it's not your bed.
And we're old.
Well, it wasn't, for me, it wasn't drinking all the beer. I kept it in line. And
it's not like...
Rebecca kept it in line-ish later on.
It was fine. I didn't make a fool of myself. I didn't puke in public. Yeah. I kept my clothes on. Didn't get arrested.
Oh, well, that's
you know
always
what I mean?
good. That's a good measuring stick. Didn't get arrested.
You're
doing a lot better than that guy we saw at the end of the night who just beefed it into a ditch.
I did not fall into a ditch. I did not fall.
That was something.
I didn't.
So, just to let people know, with Savor, we get into Savor for free. We paid to go to the Brew Expo because we didn't even, when we scheduled to do it was kind of short notice, so I didn't even want to try to reach out to the Brew Expo to ask if we could go for free. So, if we do want to do it next year, I might try and see if maybe we can get in as media to cover it. But I don't know, because it is a portion goes to charity, so I'm like, maybe we should. Yeah. So anyway, we'll discuss that when it happens. So you want to start with a beer, and then we can talk about the event?
Go ahead.
So both the beers I have are beers that I already had at the house, because we know that I need to get rid of beer at the house. And on top of that, we don't get a whole lot of Pennsylvania breweries distributed in Maryland, at least not the breweries that were represented at the Brew Expo. It was a lot of smaller guys and girls who I've never even heard of. So I was like, I'm not even going to be able to get beers for these people because they barely distribute in Pennsylvania, you know? So the first one I'm going to do here is The Shape of Hops to Come by Neshaminy Creek. And Neshaminy Creek is out of Croydon, Pennsylvania. And The Shape of Hops to Come is an Imperial IPA, 9.5% alcohol. I knew Rebecca would like that. It's done with 5 different hops: Apollo, Newport, Simcoe, Topaz, and Citra. Which I think they might change the makeup of that every now and then. I'm not 100%. It's a little beer. A little beer for me, a little beer for Rebecca. like peeing at the Brew Expo.
Ugh. I use a porta potty.
Yeah, porta potties are like universally gross.
And it was like kind of on a hill. So like I felt like I couldn't keep my balance because I had been drinking. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to squat over the porta potty. And it... Ugh.
Yeah. So let's look at this Shape of Hops to Come. It's very orange.
Yeah.
Like crazy orange.
Seems very carbonated.
Yeah, it does seem really carbonated. It's a little clear. It's not super clear, but it's relatively clear. It smells like
barf.
No, it smells good. It smells a bit resiny. It smells kind of rich and a tad bit syrupy. Maybe a little marmalade on the nose.
I'm getting some of those caramel notes.
Yes, I get the caramel. Do you smell marmalade? I feel like I get marmalade on the nose.
Okay, I could see that.
Like an orangey jelly jam type.
Yeah. You get like that sweetness that I was taught, yeah.
So it smells good, but it doesn't smell like the Shape of Hops to Come that I'm used to, because I've had this beer before, and I really do like it. So it's a situation where I picked it up like literally a week ago. I was at Wine World, and we just started getting Neshaminy Creek distributed in Maryland, so I was pretty psyched because I've had some of their stuff and enjoyed it. So I saw Shape of Hops to Come. I was like, I really like that beer, and I asked, "Is this fresh?" And they said, "Well, we don't know, but we will just say we got it like 2 weeks ago, and the distributor said it was fresh." And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, so I should be good because they don't date code, which. Bad on them. I think every brewery should date code. And Neshaminy Creek, they're certainly bringing in enough money to be date coding. Truth. So, I got it home. I already drank one. Don't throw up on the podcast, Rebecca. I already had one of these beers the other night, and I will tell you, it's not fresh. It's definitely not fresh. So, I think the distributor lied about it. Yeah. Distributors are... like that. They're just going to try and move that beer, man. So I don't fault Wine World. I don't necessarily fault Neshaminy Creek, except for the date coding portion, because you definitely should date code. Shame on you for that. But I don't really fault them for it being old, because that would be on the distributor. But this is just me making an assumption. I don't know whose fault it necessarily is. But anyway, you tried the beer. Your thoughts?
It's really bitter.
It does have a pretty solid bitterness at the end. A little bit of a sweetness. Actually, a little more than a little sweetness. There's a decent sweetness there. It's very malty. A little syrupy. A little resiny.
Not as much. I mean, when you say the Shape of Hops to Come, I'm thinking I'm going to get a lot of hop characteristics.
Well, the bitterness.
Yeah, it's just kind of like all bitterness.
There's a lot of bitterness, but and that's the thing. Like when I've had the Shape of Hops to Come in the past, there's been a lot more of a citrus vibrancy in the beer, and that's just not here. And you can just by tasting it tell that its hops have died down, which I think is part of the reason as well that the alcohol actually shows through a lot more with this beer. I mean, it is 9.5, so that is high. But in the Shapes of Hops to Come I've had before, that citrus and the vibrancy of the citrus kind of helps greatly downplay that.
Use Citra, Simcoe, Topaz,
Newport, and Apollo.
Okay.
So I mean, I still enjoy it, but it does takes a few sips for you to get used to the bitterness, to get used to that syrupiness, to get used to. The fact that it's not as hoppy as like vibrant citrus hoppy as you would think. I'm
trying to think, like, is it just because I had a lot of beer yesterday and that's why I'm kind of like, about this? Or is it just kind of a beer?
I still think it's fine. It's not great. It's fine.
See, I don't want to drink a beer that's just fine.
But usually it's better than that. And that's the problem.
And that's fine. So. Whatever. Right now, this is what I have in front of me and I'm not digging it.
Right. So let's start talking about the Brew Expo.
Let's do it.
Go ahead. You can take the lead on what you want to talk about.
I was going to talk about the price first, but I forget what we paid.
It was, I think it was I think it was like 45. 45 a person. I'll look, but okay. You can.
So yeah, it was outdoor venue. They had 3 large tents. with all the breweries underneath, and, you know, you just walk around and get your beer. I thought they did a really nice job kind of getting the line moving to get people in.
True.
Because they had, like, the long line, and at one point in the line, they checked IDs and gave you a wristband. And then when you got up to the gate is when you gave the ticket, which, you know, I never noticed them. And again, we're probably going to compare this to Savor. Very different events.
Very different. I don't think you really do it.
Did you think they checked IDs at Savor?
No. Well,
we don't know.
But that's really the thing. We don't know for sure because we are media, so we don't even wait in line. We just walk in, and we got in like a half hour early. So it's hard to know. We paid $96.24 for our 2 tickets.
Okay.
And that was regular. They had a VIP version as well, which Kelli and Kyle did. And Kyle didn't tell me.
Yes, we did look back at the text.
Yeah, Kyle. We looked back at the text. Yeah. You never told me. Which, it's not a big deal, honestly.
So, it was at, like, a ski resort.
Really
outside.
nice.
It was really beautiful setting. Nice. So, with the VIP, it was kind of cool because you essentially rode the ski lift up the mountain. And from what we were told,
from
they had beers up there that they didn't have for the regular admission. So I think that was kind of a cool perk. Like, no,
it's definitely cool, and the whole ski lift ride up to the top is a cool idea. It's terrible for me though. I'm glad we didn't get VIP because I'm afraid of heights, and I definitely would not have liked that.
I wonder what they would do if you were like, I want the VIP because I want to taste the beers, and I'm scared of heights. What do we do? You
bring that beer to me.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I'm VIP.
I wonder.
I don't know.
Be...
Well, they'd probably just say you have to get on there. Like, that's what it is. We're not making exceptions for one person.
Or what if, like, you were physically unable to get on the lift or something? If you had a physical disability.
Yeah, if you had, like, a wheelchair.
They'd have to make exceptions.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway.
But they would also need to know that ahead of time.
Well, yeah. I feel like, well, even with your heights, I feel like, you know, when we buy the ticket, we would.
Sure.
Anyway. But no, I thought it was super cool because we never heard of any of these.
Well, not any, but barely any.
Yeah. And I thought it was cool because, you know, at Savor, the breweries only have 2 offerings. But at this event, most people had 2, but there was a large number that had more than 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, there were some that had like 6 to 8.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I mean, it was not uncommon to have 3 offerings.
Yeah.
And I would say that's really nice because, you know, I've said this before, just because you have one beer from a brewery and you don't like it doesn't mean they wouldn't have something else that you do like.
True.
So that was kind of cool to explore.
Yeah, definitely. One of the lifesavers for us, and this is a pro tip, I guess, that we learned from Kyle Norman. He provided us with pretzel necklaces.
Well, not just he.
He and his daughter Olivia.
Child labor.
Yes, child labor.
At its finest.
Put together pretzel necklaces. So he just took butcher's twine and put, you know, regular size small pretzels through it, onto it, and then just made it into a necklace so you can just have it around your neck and snack on it. Just bite the pretzels off as you're going through drinking beer. And I was like, I'd seen people do that before, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but I never thought that it would be something I'd feel like would be...
a necessity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But after doing it...
it's a necessity.
Yeah.
So what would you... like, do you think we need pretzel necklaces for Savor?
I think they would look out of place. Because Savor's kind of like a dress-up type thing.
Wouldn't go with your outfit.
So like a polo shirt with nice pants... and a pretzel necklace.
A lot of people wear suits, yeah.
That's true.
But it was, you know, Kelli and Kyle ahead of time, they were like, it's great because if you don't like a beer, you just dump it in the grass. And that was...
very true.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, very true. Because with Savor, you need to go around and find a bucket to dump it in. You can't just throw it on the floor of the National Building Museum. That'd be a problem.
Yeah. And also, like, I hate the dump buckets because I think they're so gross. And then...
you're afraid of the splashback.
Yes! I'm so afraid of this. I try to get Carlin to dump mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, I don't want. So I would say, just like with any beer event, we unfortunately dumped a lot of good beer just because we were trying to,
try a bunch.
And there were a couple that I went back for seconds of, though.
Yeah, I had a few as well, and we'll call that out. We're actually going to talk. I took notes. We're going to we're not doing like a whole ranked list like we do with Savor. I'm just going to say these are beers that we quite enjoyed, and just kind of call out the brewery, call out the beer. And then I think after that, I'll just kind of talk about who we felt like, of what we had, who we felt like were the best breweries there. Mm-hmm. So, and disclaimer, we did not try every single beer. No. We did not try even a beer from every single brewery there. So we missed some folks.
Yeah.
We did try a lot, but.
Well, some we didn't Weyerbacher. We didn't because we can get a lot of their stuff.
Troegs we didn't. Because they had Perpetual IPA and Hop Knife, which we can just get. So I'm like, skip.
I mean, we did a walk by just to make sure they weren't bringing something like a scratch series or something like we couldn't get.
Yeah.
But we passed on those. Windridge.
Yeah, Windridge, just because I don't like their beer.
I'm going to be honest,
but I'm not a fan.
We can it's not that far away. We've been there. We can get it. So we were trying to.
They do a good job with cider.
Yeah, I do like their ciders. So,
yeah.
What's next?
So they had tents, which I thought was a great idea because it was supposed to rain that day, and then miraculously ended up not raining at all, which was really nice. So they had everyone under 3 very large tents. So really, if you wanted to, you could stay dry or.
Well, and then they also had that other tent with picnic tables.
Yes, they had a tent with picnic tables, and they had live bands playing, which was nice.
Yeah, except I liked the music of both. I think the singer...
A little loud.
The first band was a smidge on the screamy, loud side.
Yeah.
But still, enjoyable music. People were kind of bebopping around, dancing. You could bring lawn chairs if you wanted, or a blanket, and kind of sit in the middle and...
I mean, beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
That was one of the nicest things, being able to just sip a beer and look at a really nice landscape.
And I brought bug spray in my purse, a little kind of spray. And I did not get bit at all, surprisingly. I have no idea how. I am like a mosquito magnet.
What's funny about that is we're outside for over 4 hours for that thing. I didn't get bit at all. We come home to our house. I go outside and take the recycling and trash cans around to the front and come inside, and I was bitten numerous times. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they had, because at one point I thought I did smell citronella.
Yeah, I did.
So it was I wonder if.
But that could have been a spray someone was putting on, or.
But no, I didn't get bit at all, and they had a couple food trucks there.
They did.
They had a place you could buy soda and water if you wanted. I would say my only other critique is I wish they had water stations a little bit more available.
Yeah.
Because you either had to buy water, or they did have. When we first got there were 2 jugs of water.
It was 2 giant coolers with little spouts on them, so you could. Pour water into your cup, which is nice because you want to rinse. Because when you have, a beer with peanut butter in it, everything else after that is going to have that peanut butter to it, or at least smell like it does.
Or certain unless sour you get a rinse. Beers.
Yeah, sour beers too, barrel-aged beers, stuff like that. Yeah, now, so it would be nice.
Some of the breweries, they must have just brought them on their own, had the little portable...
Yeah, the little... glass rinsers where you turn them upside down and push it down the plastic thing and it shoots it up inside. Yeah,
the herpes magnet.
Yeah, the herpes.
So what else?
So there are a few ways for people to get there. We use Lyft to get there. So using a Lyft or Uber. I mean, good idea to get there and get home, but you also need to be cognizant of their surge pricing. Yeah. Or I think they call them the peak pricing or something like that. So that just means when it's in higher demand, they're going to charge you a lot more. And I mean a lot more. Because it was, $20 was like $20 or $25 for us to get there, and then it was like $50 some for us to get back, and that was with Lyft, because Kyle had Lyft and Uber, and he checked them at the same time, and Lyft was like $50 some, and Uber was like $130 at the exact same time. It's like, forget that. So you kind of need to be cognizant of that and keep an eye on time. You don't want to stay until the very end. I can't imagine how many people got out of there and were like, oh, it's time to Lyft or Uber. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
Because the other thing is the event had something set up with Lyft where they got a promo code. Right. And anyone who downloaded Lyft and used that promo code for their very first ride would get a discount on it.
Well, that was only new to Lyft.
Yeah, that was brand new. But think about how many people tried to use that service or Uber at 9 o'clock. And we're just
also,
like, oh my gosh.
In general, 9 o'clock on a Saturday is going to be expensive because a lot of people are just going out.
But for this brew, yeah. Oh, I don't think we said specifically where it was. It was Tussey Mountain.
Yeah.
Was the name of the I guess ski resort where it happened. Very beautiful place. Very nice.
Yeah.
Plenty of parking there too, actually. Okay, so you're gonna need to rinse. We're gonna do this second beer, and it is. Don't worry, Rebecca. It's only 10.8%. So
I'm gonna die of alcohol poisoning.
This was the other big brewery there. This was the biggest brewery there. Neshaminy Creek was the second biggest. Or no, Weyerbacher is probably the second biggest. Neshaminy Creek was probably the third biggest, but the biggest was Troegs. Troegs was there. Like I said, we didn't have anything from them just because. But what we have to drink here is their bourbon barrel-aged Troegenator, which is their double Bock aged in bourbon barrels. And this one was bottled in 2017. So, and like I said, 10.8%. It's cork and cage, small bottle. Let's see what kind of pop we get. Oh, not much. You probably didn't even hear it on the podcast. Yeah. It's just like, boop.
It's like a little baby fart.
Yes, it was like a little baby fart, Rebecca. Very nice. A baby fart. Love it. Hopefully you don't describe the aroma that way.
No.
That'd be terrible. Okay. So, the bourbon barrel-aged Troegenator looks like regular Troegenator. It's brownish, reddish.
Yeah.
Can't see through it because it's dark. Around like the edges you could see through it a little bit. A like slightly brown head on top.
It just smells like toffee and raisins, brown sugar, caramel.
Mm-hmm. I smell a little like oakiness from the barrel. Yeah. You can definitely smell that it's bourbon. A lot of that like caramel, vanilla, oak.
This would be such a great like fall sitting outside, cuddled up by the fireplace beer, Christmas time beer.
Yeah. I also get a little bit of a cherry in there.
I was going to say fruitcake.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Like it's kind of like a molasses covered cherry, and it smells good. It smells very good. I'm excited. This has been sitting down in the beer cellar for a while, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to pop this thing. This seemed like a good time to do it.
It's good. It's a mild bourbon.
Oh yeah, very.
It's not like I like a little bit more bourbon in my barrel aging, but this is nice. It's
I was expecting more viscosity for it to be thicker, but I'm okay. It's definitely more thin than I was thinking it would be, especially with how much raisin you got on the nose. Usually that'll indicate, along with the higher ABV, that you're going to get a syrupiness. It's not very syrupy.
No.
There's a very good amount of the original Troegenator flavor in there, like a slight banana to it. Plenty of cherry.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really smooth. There's a little more bitterness than I thought there would end up being on the end of the flavor. But yeah, it's good. Brown sugary, cherry, slight banana to it.
Okay, we're going to talk about what we like now.
That's good. Okay, yep. Let's talk about it. So good event.
What was your favorite brewery there?
Well, let's go through all the beers I wanted to shout out from the breweries, and then we'll talk about that, because otherwise I'd have to sit there and look through, you know what I mean? So then it'll be fresher in our mind to be like, oh, that's the brewery.
Just like gut reaction.
Okay, gut reaction without looking at the list.
Yeah, like someone's like, hey, you went to this beer expo, like what was really good?
Okay, what was one of my favorites? Funk Brewing.
Okay.
Out of Elizabethtown.
Well, and they have like 2 locations.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Elizabethtown and another. Yeah. Yeah, I did like Funk.
Funk. Yeah, that was an immediate one for me. Only tried one of the beers there, but Neshaminy Creek is another one. I tried one of their beers. Quite enjoyed it. Who else would jump out? Abomination would jump out to me. And I'll get to where they're from because they're on my list of stuff.
For me, Black Mammoth.
Black Mammoth. Yeah, that's another good one.
That really jumped out at me. Partly because the one beer that we had there was a style I typically don't like. And they did it really well, which I think, when you impress me and make me want to go back to drink a beer I typically don't like.
Yep.
It says something.
It does.
So.
But it also backs up the idea that you think you don't like a particular style, but someone could do it a certain way that you're into it.
Yeah.
So don't shut it off, Okay, so let's go over this. So at first we had a Goza by Black Mammoth, and Black Mammoth is out of Audubon, Pennsylvania.
And they're, I think, near Westchester.
Okay. Sure. Their Goza was called Goza Malone. And that was really nice. I remember that having a decent saltiness to it, a decent sourness, just smooth though.
Yeah.
Then your favorite, their Chai Time. What was the Chai Time?
It was Belgian double?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was a double.
With the chai spices.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
And I liked it too. And people, you know me, I don't like a whole lot of spicing in my beers. It was almost the perfect level. Yeah. It was nice. It wasn't too much for me. It was well integrated.
And the owner and brewmaster was there, Austin,
I didn't
forget his last name.
Don't remember.
Yeah. So that was one of the ones I went back to.
Yes.
Because we went there first, and then Kelli and Kyle came down from their VIP land, and we took them over there. I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to have another little taste of this.
Yeah.
They also did
a black IPA.
And
Cascadian Dark Ale, also known as a stout.
A stout, which was... It was... Because I was like, I don't know if I want to drink a stout. It's really, really hot. And he was saying, well, it's not really like a chewy. It's more of like a thinner mouthfeel. I'm like, typically not my style. But it was really nice because it had all of those flavors that you want out of a stout, but it was a little thinner and it was perfect for the weather.
Yeah. Was good. So the next one that I put down here, so this is actually in the order that we drank them because I was just doing the notes and I'm just going down the notes. So then Neshaminy Creek, really liked their Croydon Cream Ale, and they're actually out of Croydon, which is why it's called the Croydon Cream Ale. That's a really nice cream ale. It's just really light, really tasty. And after I drank it, I remember saying to Rebecca, this is a beer just like Union Skipjack Pills that I would just have this on hand all the time. Yeah. It'd be a really nice go-to.
And then is Funk next on your list?
Yeah, Funk is, because they were right next to them. So Funk out of Elizabethtown, but you said they have more than one location.
I think the Elizabethtown one is their second location. I think that is the restaurant and brewery, and I think the actual first big brewery, the larger one, is another location.
So I have 3 beers by them on this.
Because we tried 3.
Yeah.
And they had a lot more.
Yeah, they had 5.
And I
think.
I was like, I want to try them all. But I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you got to move on. So their Silent Disco IPA was quite good. It's New England style IPA. Very juicy, very tasty. Their Double Citrus Imperial IPA I thought was even better. I think it was very Citra hop driven. Very, very citrusy, tasty.
Yes.
And then their Bishop Heinrich's German Pilsner really easy, flavorful, nice Pilsner.
I don't remember that one beer very well. I remember I sniffed it, and I said, I really like this beer. And you said, you didn't drink it yet.
Yes. Well, because Rebecca hit the beers fast and hard, and I'm, like, taking notes, and she's just, like, taking off. And, like, I'm going to try more beers. And I'm like, can you slow down? I'm, like, taking notes.
Yeah. So I do remember smelling that, and then I'm like, I really like this. And you're like, you didn't drink it.
Yeah. So the next one I have on here is Rotunda Brewing out of Annville. And we had a really good beer by them. Their Peach Passion Fruit Mango Kettle Sour.
Right.
So for me, it's a big achievement when you can give me a kettle sour that I quite enjoy, and that was very tasty. A lot of fruit character to it.
Annville.
Good sour. Gosh. Yeah, it's Annville. Yeah. Then one of Rebecca's faves, Robin Hood Brewing out of Bellefonte. And their Blue Sky PA was a very nice, like, straight-up IPA with Citro Mosaic and Vic's Secret hops. Those are wonderful hops, and they did a good job putting that together. Very tasty. And one of Rebecca's favorites, then, the S'mores Milk Stout with lactose, cacao nibs, graham crackers, and marshmallows.
And I went up there and wanted a pour of that, and it was on nitro. It just looked so beautiful.
Cascading, yeah.
And I took a sip, and, you know, it's like, you want it to be good because it sounds good, but is it going to deliver? And it did.
There certainly were some breweries there that had beers where you were like, that sounds amazing. And then you tried it, and you're like, that is severely underwhelming. Yeah. Or you were like, that actually tastes like crap.
Yeah.
There were 3 breweries there I can think of like that. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to just be mean about it, but there were 3 breweries there. One of them in particular, one of the beers, if I were a brewer, I would not have served that beer to anyone. Like, it was that bad that, yuck. But anyway.
Yeah, but the s'mores was delicious, and I actually went back for more of that because it was quite tasty.
So then there was Abomination Brewing out of East Stroudsburg, and they had this, maybe my favorite beer there, period. Double Barrel Shotgun Sour. It was just a sour beer done with blueberry and achai, or as some people say, acai, I think is how it's said.
Acai,
but yeah, with blueberry and acai. That was so fruity. It was sour, but it wasn't like really sour. Yeah, it was like a really nice medium sourness to it.
And the color of that beer was really pretty too.
It was really, really tasty. Yeah. I think that was my favorite beer there.
It was good.
It was really awesome. Yeah, so Abomination, thumbs up, you guys. Then, I love the name of this brewery. CNC Brewing Factory out of Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania. So, Rebecca's pretty sure they don't have a physical brewery.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm pretty certain. Well, I was talking to them, I'm like, I've never heard of you guys. And they're like, well, we're kind of small, just getting started. So then I was looking them up on Instagram. I'm like, I think these are just like 2 dudes who just like homebrew in their basement.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. They look youngish. Yeah. Like, they look like they're in their like mid-20s, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they look like to me. Like mid to late 20s. Late 20s at the most. Like 2 young dudes. But I love the fact that CNC Brewing Factory, call back to the old musical group CNC Music Factory. If people don't know their stuff, look it up on YouTube and listen to it so you'll get a frame of reference. But they just had they had a fun motto and and they actually had a really nice beer. They had a really tasty jalapeno pale ale. Yeah. The jalapeno, like, there was a bit of a spice to it, but it wasn't too much, and so much of like that nice green vegetal fruit flavor of the actual jalapeno was really pretty damn tasty. So, good job, CNC Brewing Factory. Then there's a brewery called Great Barn Brewery out of New Hope, Pennsylvania, and they had one called Dunkelshawn, and it was a peanut butter chocolate Dunkelweizen.
Okay, I do remember that.
Which I believe the whole idea on that was to get some banana character from the Dunkelweizen style, and then have that blend together with the chocolate and the peanut butter, which it did. It was a well done beer. It was nice. Then just a straight up, like, real nice straight pale ale. 11th Hour Brewing out of Pittsburgh. Their Photosynthesis Pale Ale. Mm-hmm. That was a nice, straight-up pale ale.
Well, because I think you went up and just tried their Bock first.
Yes. I wasn't huge on the Bock.
Yeah. And we're like, well, let's just try again, just because you have one, try the other offering and kind of see. And that was really solid. Definitely a beer you could drink every day.
Then we had a brewery we've talked about before, and we've actually been to, out of Clearfield, Pennsylvania, Race Street Brewing. Their Nefarious Purposes Black IPA. Real tasty. Like a nice malty roastiness, but then a nice hoppy citrus on top.
I think you liked that more than I did.
Well, I put it down because I was the one taking notes. So then the next one was a collaboration. This may have been my second favorite beer overall. Really good. It was a collaboration between Marzoni's Brewing and Railroad City Brewing. And, oh, damn, I didn't get where Railroad City's out of. Can you look them up real quick on your phone?
I don't have my phone.
Oh, no. Okay. Apologies. I'll look it up in a minute while Rebecca talks after I get this out.
What am I talking about?
I'll get there. So Marzoni's they have 5 locations because they're like a brew pub. They have like food and beer. So they're in Altoona, Duncansville, Mechanicsburg, Sealands Grove, and Scranton. So...
in Scranton.
Yeah, and they did it with Railroad City, and it was a ginger lime Kolsch. Mm-hmm. Which, I like a nice, easy Kolsch, and it was that. Ginger and lime I also like, and they weren't too much. They were very well controlled.
Yeah.
And it was really, really well put together, in my opinion. I was a big fan. But your feeling on it?
I don't remember it that well.
What?
I know, isn't that bad?
Oh, because that was...
that was towards the end of the evening.
And what was the deal with that? You were a little... Ugh.
I was enjoying myself.
That was at the point where you were just like... saying things like, what is this beer again? Like,
yes,
one that you literally just had some of like a minute ago, and you're like, what is this beer again? What is this beer again?
Yeah, did I say that a lot?
During that time period, you did. But then that's when you stopped drinking for a little bit.
Yeah.
For maybe like 20 minutes or so. You're just like laid off. I was like,
well, because it was getting confusing. Because like I would have a beer and you would have a beer. And then we kind of decided which ones we liked better. And then we were dumping one. And it was too much to keep track of.
Yeah. So Railroad City is also out of Altoona.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that ginger lime Kolsch I think was my second favorite beer. It was really good. I could have that one on hand all the time. Really good. Big fan.
What about the peanut butter hef?
We're getting there. Oh. That's on the list, buddy.
Yeah.
So the next one was Levant or Levanti. I think it might be Levanti out of Westchester. We had 3 of theirs down.
They were good.
They were very good. They're double dry hopped, cloudy and cumbersome mango New England style IPA.
I really liked that.
Very fruity, very juicy, very tasty. Their froth tangerine Northeast or New England style IPA with lactose.
I remember that.
Nice and creamy, very fruity. And then their fetish cherry vanilla sour, which was, I believe it was a kettle sour, but it had like a nice cherry flavor. It had nice vanilla notes to round it out, made it a little bit creamy.
And this is the brewery that they had 2 offerings. And then they had a chalkboard sign saying that at 7 o'clock they were going to be opening cans and serving this one style. And then at 8 o'clock they were doing the same thing with a different beer, which was kind of cool to get people coming back to their stand and trying new things and kind of making it feel a little exclusive.
Yep. Yeah, it was a great idea. I really did like that. It was smart. All right, then the next one, 10-7 Brewing. Out of North Wales. We had a Goza by them called What Goza On at 2 a.m.
Oh, okay.
It was a Goza done with lactose, Himalayan pink salt, coriander, and plum and pomegranate puree.
Yes.
The color on it was really interesting. It looked like a smoothie.
Yes, it did. It was kind of cloudy, a little thick.
Like purple.
Yeah.
It looked like purple milk, honestly. But it tasted very good. It was very nice. Then there was Levity Brewing out of Indiana, Pennsylvania. Had their Tenured Tango double IPA with mango and jalapeno. That was good.
That was kind of spicy.
Yeah, it had a decent burn from the jalapeno.
It was like sweet and spicy. Because you had the sweetness from the mango, and it was definitely one of the spicier jalapeno beers. It
was tasty. They did a good job. And then I put down, Rebecca wasn't as big of a fan of this, but I really liked it. Their Knock and Howl, which was a sour brown ale aged in bourbon barrels. The sourness that was almost a little bit into the vinegar of souring, just rounded out by like the nice like caramel oak and kind of vanilla notes of the bourbon barrel. Really, that one was awesome. That one would probably be on my top 5 list, really? I think.
Yeah, I was definitely getting kind of beard out at this point.
Yeah, that was another thing. So then after Levity, we hit that we liked Connie Creek out of Lower Burrell. I don't know.
I have no idea.
All these places, I don't know. Their coffee camp, it was a coffee stout.
Yes.
It was just really nicely done, like a decent roasty coffee flavor. Pretty sure they did it with cold brew. You could tell it didn't have like the rough edges that hot brewed coffee thrown into beer has. So that was really nice. And then the last one I have on the list was Rusty Rail Brewing out of Mifflinburg, who apparently is about to start distributing in Maryland very soon. And it was their Fool's Gold, which was a peanut butter Hefeweizen. When would you ever think you would hear of a peanut butter Hefeweizen?
But it totally works.
And it definitely works because it's the whole thing, once again, of playing with the banana notes coming from the Hefeweizen with peanut butter. And peanut butter and banana totally works.
Yeah.
That's one of those beers where, like, you read what it is and you're like, I don't know if that can work. And then you try it and you're like, this definitely works. Yeah. It's good. So,
yeah. So all in all, it was definitely a fun event. I think we'll definitely try to go back and make an appearance. And
nice.
I liked all the Pennsylvania breweries. You know, I think that was a kind of a fun way, especially for us to try, because we wouldn't have an opportunity to try a lot of those any other way.
I think what would be awesome, but I think it's probably pretty much impossible, is if they would focus on a different state each time. But I feel like it'd be too impossible to do because you're trying to pull people from far away potentially. But I mean, even if next year they tried to do like Maryland or like more like a little bit of Pennsylvania, but also try and pull in like New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, make it that grouping.
Delmarva.
Yeah. Just kind of like play with the makeup each year. Mm-hmm. Get them from different areas.
Keeps people coming back too. Because it's different offerings.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you had the same breweries, they'd still be bringing different beers most likely.
Hopefully,
but people want to try new places. So, and everyone knows there are so many new breweries all the time. And that was very much highlighted at the State College Brew Expo. Because I would say that probably 90% of that list of breweries, I was like, who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I've never heard of you before.
Yep, exactly.
So.
All right. Well, I think we can easily say that we liked the Bourbon Barrel Aged Troegenator the most.
Yeah, I can easily say I'm done with beer.
Oh, you're not helping me with either of these?
I don't
maybe
think so.
not. Although, I will say, while we were talking, Rebecca went back for seconds of the Barrel Aged Troegenator.
Yeah, but now Rebecca's done.
Okay, so 2 small pours was enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for checking this out. Thank you, State College Brew Expo, for putting on a good event. We appreciate that. And until next time,
keep it brutal.
This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.